So what we're going to talk about today is called Flipout with FlipGrid. That's the catchy little title I created. We're just going to be talking about how you can use FlipGrid in your classrooms as like kind of an enrichment activity or to help the kids master and actually get down to what you're talking about in your lessons. So my name is Thaddeus Ryan Komorowski. These are some of my professional qualifications. I'm a Garland High School teacher, and I'm an I3 representative and a Adobe certified associate. And this is my Twitter handle up here that you see here. And these are my personal qualifications. My co-presenter is Timothy. He has been a GIC math teacher for 10 years now. He is always also, I guess, behind the camera that you see here, which is awesome. And then his Twitter handle as well. So let's get started. So I would just kind of like kind of a quick little, I called it a trailer, but it's just kind of a quick synopsis of what Google Classroom is. FlipGrid is. It's just basically a grid you create for your classroom that sparks communication and collaboration within your students. So you're basically creating a selfie video, or students create a selfie video that kind of like helps them explain what they've learned and actually show learning has taken place, basically. So we'll click here, and all these links right here that I'm actually clicking on, I know this PDF will look really small on your screen, but just click on under the actual video window. It says the description, and so all these links to these different PDFs are in that description. So again, this is kind of just this first PDF that kind of just walks you through over what FlipGrid is and how it's helpful, and like different ideas as far as like, you know, STEM activities, math introductions. Like if you're an English teacher, if you want to go over a book topic, FlipGrid would be a great idea for doing something like that. Like if you're like, now we just talked about our literature that we just talked about in Shakespeare, so now we actually need a short reflection video about it, or maybe exploring your solar system if you're a science teacher. Some different ideas there, okay? And then, so we also have some teacher resources and some student resources. And these are some things that teacher resources will help you create your FlipGrid, and then the student handouts, basically. So we're gonna start with this teacher resources. And again, this PDF guide is in the description again as well. So as I know these are really small on your screen. So it talks you through how to create the grid, add topics, which a grid is kind of like your classroom. So I would put like A2 or something like that. And then I would create a topic, which is like a discussion topic. And then I would share that code with the students, and they can go and create their video responses. So then we're going to actually look at the student resources. And this is what you'll print out and maybe hand to your students to kind of inform them what FlipGrid is, maybe in association with you explaining it, you know, in class. But you can actually give this to them so they can actually take home and see what it's all about. So it talks about how they need to record kind of like what is a selfie video, and then they have the codes they need to use that you've given to them, and so they can actually enter that. So these are some testimonials. Let me go back. Oh, let me go back actually. Yes, there we go. These are some different teachers that have actually used FlipGrid in their classrooms, and this is more of a blog post they've actually created. So the first one we have is Andy here. I think Andy's actually a woman. Sorry about that. And this is basically just a blog post of her archiving. I think she's actually a library teacher, and she did an event where she actually had teamed her students up with senior citizens in the area, and then they created kind of like literature reading things. And FlipGrid to create a self-response, which is actually real cool. So you can kind of scroll through here and see like how she used FlipGrid and what she talked about there. Okay. The next person is Carly. And this one's really cool because I actually just, in creating this, I just kind of clicked on this and like, oh my gosh, Craig Clement is actually the one-to-one instructional coach at my high school, which is Garland High School, which kind of a shout out to him because he's doing some really amazing things here. And so with teaming up with him, ditch the textbook kind of things. And so they just actually worked with her and, you know, kind of like spurring her on to maybe try this in her classroom. So she talked about how she's actually used FlipGrid in her classes and how she's really excited about using it and wants to keep going on. And again, you can actually, these are actually in the description linked as well. So now I have Sean. Sean is actually more of a kind of maybe a technology teacher. So he definitely has some ways to actually use FlipGrid in math. So different ideas there. So basically all these links are different ideas that you can actually peruse through and see which ones you might think would work in your classroom. So the next one, actually this last one here is How to Ditch That Textbook by Matt Miller. That actually has some really great references too, or resources as well. The first one, it says 15 ways to use FlipGrid in your classroom. So the last one we actually looked at is actually just different ways to use it in this particular case, like how she's actually used FlipGrid. But I think that the ditch the textbook ways would just be in general. So, you know, the first one talks about, you know, just creating a discussion board. Second one, just in general, creating students recording their voice, stuff like that, you know, replying to one another. So different reasons. And again, I know that it's really small. I'm going to say it one more time, that I know those PDFs are really small. Those links might be small on your video screen, but again, they're always in the description. So anything I'm actually showing you will be in links in the description, like the little blue text there. So that goes over the testimonials and people that have used FlipGrid. It talks about all the things they've done. So we're going to go over how that looks for the students. And so you can see like the students can actually do this. It's a lot more straightforward on their iPad because they're managed by the school district. They can actually use FlipGrid on their phones. I think it's a little more tricky to like navigate the things, but that's the way it'll look on both of those platforms there. So it looks very similar, just the layout is different. One thing I really like about FlipGrid is actually it's customizable, which the kids in this generation really love customizing things and, you know, putting in little emojis on there and stuff like that, you know, so they can actually take ownership and say like, hey, I created this is my own little video and I actually just, you know, jazz it up a little bit here. And so you can actually kind of like use it with app smashing and using Chatterpix to do that. I think in the application you actually can do that a little bit, but you can actually add more things using Chatterpix. And I will talk about it in just a second. And I will show you on my iPad. When you create your classroom, oh, there's one thing I actually forgot to say, is that on this, here, this Arlie's actual testimonial, I want to point this out because I think it's really great. She actually says she tried FlipGrid, but she actually used, she has this promo code that if you use, then you can create your own FlipGrid account with a free 40-day trial to create unlimited classrooms. Because when you create a free one, it's just called the FlipGrid One account, and it just creates a one classroom. So mine, I've actually used that promo code to create grids or classes for all my classes. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out very quickly. So we'll go back and go through here. So that's what I've done here. This is a screenshot of what I've actually done to create a grid for each of my classes. Okay, and then we'll walk you through. If you want to just do the free account, we'll walk you through how to do that. So if you're doing the one account, you'd probably have to come up with some way to like kind of manage, like if you're doing it for all your students, to actually manage like what classroom they're involved in. And so, but the promo code will actually give you, you can create grids for every classroom and they keep those separate. So, and again, this is actually what I talked about before. The promo code gives you the FlipGrid classroom account. After that 45-day trial period, then you can actually, you know, decide on actually paying $65 per year, which is not actually much per month, really, if you want to actually do that. So of course, the promo code is actually just trying to entice you to actually see about if you want to use it. But definitely, if you don't, if you decide you're like, I'll just stay with a free account, then it will go back to the FlipGrid one account where you just have one grid. Just FYI. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to start your own FlipGrid. I'm actually going to show you the teacher desktop view of creating your grids, which you're going to have to do first, and then I'll walk you through the iPad view. So I'm actually going to log into my promo code grid that I created. So you can see that if you actually want to do that, then this is the way it will look, and you can create, like I said, grids for all of your classes there. So I've gone through here. I can, you know, just create new ones. This is what it looks when you actually create. This little code right here is the code that you give to your students. So you can create a name, you give it a purpose. What is your, you know, purpose for that class or something? A word describing, you know, whatever have like physics terms or something like that. Then you can actually, these things, if you can turn on, like if you want to moderate things, if you allow downloads, we're talking about that a little later, allowing the downloads. I would recommend turning that, leaving that on, and sharing the links would be on, because that way you can add in your FlipGrid code, you can actually add it as a link in Classroom, which is really helpful, I believe. So I'll hit cancel there, because I've already created my classes. So these are all of my classes for A day and B day. So, and this is the link that you get to your students for each individual class. Okay. And if I just click on A3 over here, I tried to actually have my students, but it was a little bit crunch time, so I actually just created a few of myself. So this is the topic, basically a discussion topic of the construction forces loads for that one class. So you click on that topic there, and you can see some different people there. And this is one that I've actually just done as a test. I'm going to delete that response because I don't need to have it anymore. So these two main ones that I've done, this is one I actually did. And the football one, like the football view you see right here, is actually a screenshot that I can show is kind of like the preview image. But the actual video, I don't actually have that football helmet on. So if I want to actually take a straight selfie video, I can do it this way, but the students can, like I talked about before, you can customize it. What's really great for it, you can actually view their video and actually give feedback to them, like, hey, I think you did a really awesome job. I love the way you talked about this. It was really thought out and, you know, very clear and concise. So you can actually give feedback to your students. Some different things you can actually do. Okay, and like you can see who has replied. So which is really great, because I love about FlipGrid is that each student can create their own responses. So you can actually do that as like the first initial project, like, okay, everyone has to write a reply or create a video response reply on FlipGrid to this assignment. And then the next day, you do as an enrichment, you're like, okay, now you need to, each student needs to create 2 replies to every, you know, they need to create a reply to 2 different video responses. So basically each student creates 2 replies. So you can do that as a kind of enrichment activity. So I show you that here. And I just talked about like, hey, this is awesome, that's great. So that's just a quick reply kind of thing. And this is actually what I'm going to show you before, show you where I actually use the Bitmoji there as my image. So I did actually have to take a selfie video. I can use an image there. So this is another one I created with that Bitmoji thing. And it talks about, you know, what I learned. Okay. And those are the responses there. And so these are the codes. These are the links to those particular things. So what I'm going to do is actually show you real quickly what it looks like if you don't do the promo code. So I have a different account for that. Oh, promo password. So if you actually don't create your full FlipGrid classroom account, then it actually, this is what it looked like. So you have your grid that you created of just your one class. So what I'll do is actually delete that grid. This is a test class that I created. So you only have options to create one. So now the actual grid button is there. So once I create a grid, so I'll just put in test, and I'll put in test again. And then I have my grid code that I would give to my students there. Again, I would leave allow downloads on. We'll show you that what that means in a minute, but definitely I would recommend leaving it on, so I can create my grid here. So now you don't have that. When I go back to my grids, so you don't have the option to add a new grid because the free account only lets you have one grid. But once you click on that grid, you can create new topics. I think you can create as many topics as you want to. Just make sure it allows you only to create one grid. So you create a topic like let's actually do this personal. Oh, maybe this is kind of like the first thing you can do to like kind of get your students to kind of get used to this. So you actually kind of do an introductory thing. So like just introduce yourself, which would be kind of a great activity for the first part of school. So like create a FlipGrid video response of yourself and explain who you are, and maybe to have a list of things that you need to talk about. So and then we'll create a topic there. Oh, we needed to write a description. So basically this is the title, and you tell them what to do there. So create a topic. Okay. And then, so this is the actual topic that I've created there, and I can actually share that topic. If I want to share it, then I can go to my Google Classroom, and it will actually share a URL, all that kind of stuff. And then I can actually choose what class I want to use. You know, it's very much like just creating an assignment in Google Classroom. I click on my classroom, and I can choose either assignment or question. So again, it will integrate really well with Classroom, and I really love everything that does that. So I'll cancel that because I don't actually want to share that to my classroom right now. So, and that's actually just a free account. That's what it looks like. So the next thing, so once you create your grid and your topic, your discussion topics, then you can actually share that, like you can share that with your classroom there. And you have this code. If you just want to give them a code, then you can actually do that too. You don't have to put it into Classroom. What I'm going to do now is actually show you what it looks like on the student side on the iPad. I'm going to actually make sure they have, I'm just swiping down on my screen. That's kind of like a trick I learned. So that way you can type in, if you don't, I actually have a problem with like the students creating like 3 or 4 different screens, and like just there's too much. Like I can't actually, it takes 5 minutes to try and find that application. So I just scroll down and search for it. It's a lot easier. In my opinion, it's easier. So I can click on self-service and make sure that they have those installed. So I'm going to actually close that because that's not working. I'll do it one more time. So I would make sure that they have that FlipGrid app installed. So basically type in Flip and just make sure they have it installed. If they do, then you can close self-service. And the app actually looks like, again, I'll do that again. It looks like this plus sign. Okay. So this is what the students will look like. They have the grid code right there. If they have the assignment in classroom, it will take them automatically to this application. So this is where they enter the code. You can see how I've done a few as a student, you know. So this one right here I've created and show you there. So then I click on that topic and then lesson, so students can actually see other students' responses as well. So when I'm going to add, then I can click on this little plus sign right there. And if before I talked about leaving the allow downloads button turned on. If you don't, then that green button right here will not show up, and that's really important as far as like I talk about customizing things. So you can create just like your self-portrait video there. You can actually just do it by just creating the video, and it's actually timing you, giving you a time limit, and say I'm finished. And it's giving you what you talked about there. You're done, and now you can actually take a screenshot of yourself. And this is what it looked like. And actually, this is the part where you actually can add in different things, little things, you know, here. So I can add in my little sunglasses there if I want to add that in. So there's a lot of different things. You can add some text there too. So once I'm done, I actually put in my name. This might be something to do if you use the FlipGrid One account, which is free. You put in there, tell them to put their first name, last name, and then their class they're in. That would help you organize everything. Some of you get out of that because I actually don't want to actually add that. Oh, I'm gonna hit OK. So I'm gonna go over now when you actually app smashing it with like ChatterPix. So what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna need to upload something. So what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna create your video in ChatterPix first. So this is an application. If you want to actually make sure they have FlipGrid and ChatterPix, it's another self-service app. Okay, if you just type in Chatter, it does it right there. And I've already installed it, of course. So I'll close that. Oh, I'm sorry. Then I would just scroll down here and see the ChatterPix. ChatterPix is actually like a portrait-only application, which is fine. A lot of students actually have a tendency to use their iPad in portrait mode. So then you have an option to actually take a photo of yourself, which would, you know, you can do that. But you actually use the gallery is something I would actually do. What you can do here is actually use a picture, and you can use any picture you want to. Again, your photo if you want to, or you can use your camera roll and go to any picture that I've actually used. So these are pictures I used in my camera roll. So I think I'm going to use maybe, let's see, this picture right here. So this general, you know, like they could go to the Google search and actually search for any kind of image they want to. This is actually something where I would talk about kind of like digital citizenship as far as choosing something that's appropriate for school. So that's when I actually go talk about stuff. So I'm done with that, selected that. Now what I need to do is actually click, touch here, and I'm actually didn't draw a line, and I give her like where she talks. And then I actually hit the microphone button, and it would give me 30 seconds to record my response. And I'll hit play here, and actually it's really small, but you can see like her mouth is moving a little bit there. And then it kind of just previews what you've recorded. So when I'm done, I hit next. This is the part where I actually can edit that and customize it. So there's different filters you can use up here, like a bit of black and white. And these are different things you can add in, different little things you can add in. Like this is the one I put, like the little smile glass thing. Put it on here. And once I get done, if I like that, I click next. And if you add something that you don't like, say like I don't want that, you just drag over to the edge and let it goes poof and goes away. And this is where you can add in like a frame. You can add some text. That's where I put in the awesome thing. So when you're done with that, you hit next. So it finishes that actually ChatterPix video. So then you actually hit the share button, which is down right here. Share, and you're going to export it to your photos. It would be the easiest way to do it. So it's going to export that little video through ChatterPix, and it says it's complete. And now what I can do is actually go back to FlipGrid, which is that plus sign there, and I will go back and actually close this, and then add another one there. So now it actually will show up as that video there. And so I kind of can preview it. It looks good, you know. So I kind of did that in ChatterPix. Now I'll actually choose, it's only just one image, so all the images are going to look the same. And this is where I can actually add in other little things too. It's like the 5 breaking news kind of thing. And you can pinch and make it bigger. Yeah, and so you can add in different things like that. So different kind of ideas. So then you can customize things in ChatterPix, also in FlipGrid as well. And then this is where you put in your name, like we covered before. Maybe what classroom you're in. It will help you kind of manage those things. And then hit, when you're done with this, put your name in. I think it requires me to do that. All this stuff's optional there. You know, hit next, next, maybe submit. Then I've submitted that. And now just hit return to grid, and now it has the new video I've just actually added on that FlipGrid account. Okay, so this kind of just walk you through what the students' view will look like when they've added that. And I just realized now that that was actually a little smaller than actually do. But again, those are some things you actually can do, and you can actually install those. And so you could have been following along with me and done the exact same thing, or something like whatever you want to do. So on your district provided iPad. So I think that actually finishes what the students' view look like. So let's minimize that for a minute, and I'll go back to this. This again, this Google slide just kind of helps me keep things on track. So that finishes the FlipGrid account, or the FlipGrid kind of webinar, like the benefits of using FlipGrid as far as enrichment activities in your classroom. But to use it's like, okay, now I need you to show your learnings. Each individual student, maybe even for the people that don't like to speak in front of the classroom, that's going to think they can create itself a video. And this kind of generation is all about that. So you can put any kind of questions you have into your chat window. And my co-presenter, Timothy, will answer any questions you might have. And after that, he's going to put in the survey link that's professional development credit into that chat window. It's going to link you to a Google form. You put in your name and what school you're at and stuff like that, so that way you can get professional development credit. So that finishes this webinar.